Last week, as the majority of you knows, I was sick. I had to rest and relax, and I had a lot of free time in front of my PC, but I wasn't able to stream or to record my voice in any way. So I had to decide what to do with this time. I could either record a lot of footage for videos I had planned, or experimenting a thing I was always interested to try at least one time. Speedrunning Fear and Hunger! In case you don't know, let me explain. A speedrun is a particular type of run in which the main goal is to complete the game in the least amount of time possible. There are different categories depending from what you have to achieve in the run. All the endings, for example, A, B, C, D, E, either glitchless or any percent, which basically allows glitches. Then there is dungeon nights, toilet percent, and really? Also, before you may say, Frapollo, you know a lot about this game. Surely you will pulverize the speedruns, right? Absolutely no! Speedrunning and knowing a lot are not even comparable. Speedrunning includes a multitude of possibilities, including the one that scares me the most. React as fast as possible to what happens. You have to cut every possible second from a run to save time, and to have a chance to get the world record, which requires having fast thinking and being ready to change your plan in the worst case. So, I started documenting myself by watching some world records and some of the most used strategies. The first one I watched was a record from a guy named Ihukne. Cool. Let's go on another category. Who is the world record holder? Ihukne? Oh, that one must be pretty good, like having the world record in 2 categories. Let's change again the Ihukne? Let's... Ihukne? Even here, let's go to the other category. Ihukne? Oh. Whew. At least not in dungeon nights. Here I realized I wasn't gonna deal with a simple rival, but with a 17-head mastermind who dedicates the soul to speedrun Fear and Hunger. I was kinda scared, we may say, because my plan was to literally get a world record without having ever attempted a speedrun before, and knowing I will have to deal with this person will be intimidating for sure. But then I saw hope. I was sure about the strategy applied in a particular category, ending E any percent. This is one of the fastest categories in Fear and Hunger, with the world record by Ihukne at 24.140 seconds. Now, let me explain you the strategy for this. The plan is very simple. Get randomly at the start of the run an empty scroll from one of the crates on the right side of the map. Once you find an empty scroll, you have to write O Lord, teach, phase. Phase is basically a spell which allows you, once you click C on the keyboard, to move you 5 tiles into the direction you are looking into. Once you do this, you have to position yourself in this exact spot and press C in order to finish literally in the wall. Why are we here? Because in the tile above us, there is a very special event, probably intended as a debug tool. In fact, if you click in here, you're gonna enable the switch that allows you to leave the dungeon. Let me repeat. If you click here, the fog will not prevent you from leaving anymore, and you can actually leave the dungeon and get ending E. Needless to say, after this, the next step is to use phase to reach the exit as fast as possible. And that's the end. Now, there are a few things I skipped because I didn't want the initial explanation to be too complex. Now let's go to the most complex part. First of all, how rare is an empty scroll from a crate? Very easy. It's a 1 on 48 chance to trigger the event called the random rare item, in which there is a 1 in 31 chances of getting an empty scroll. God damn it, where did I get myself into? Yeah, there are some other variables that will help you in this calculation, but still, this is the main and the simplest way in which you will get an empty scroll from a crate. Then, as you may have realized, I didn't mention a quill. In order to write on the empty scroll, you need a quill in the inventory. How do we get a quill? We start with Darcy, because by giving up on Dash in the intro, we are able to get, by stocking up on equipment, a quill, guaranteed consistently. consistently. Is that it? No, there is one last thing you need to do if you want to speedrun here. Before approaching the crates on the right side, what you have to do is to reach this specific tile, because here there is another debug spot in which you are gonna get a temporary dash, which will overall make you move faster, and since we gave up on dash to get a quill, it's better to take it. Before starting, there is one more thing I will do. If you noticed, when I wrote "Oh Lord," a letter A appeared. That's because in the control menu, the spacebar is by default bound to the confirm button. So what happens is when you push the spacebar, not only you create a space, you also write the letter you are onto. I'm on the letter A, so I create an A. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna unbind this one to be sure we don't create the letter A, saving us overall some time. Okay, the strategy is over. Sounds easy enough, right? You just need to be lucky and have a good enough writing speed when you get an empty scroll, right? Yeah, no. It was much worse. I wasn't ready at all. First of all, there was a terrible input lag, which multiple times caused me to not click on crates or on the debug spot where you get dash. Then I realized I suck at writing fast when under pressure. I mean, I suck at everything when under pressure. No. If I just keep mindlessly doing this, nothing will change at all. I need to terrain the specific parts. Most important part being the writing. That's the part in which I can save the most time differently from the world record where they slowed down a little bit. And so, I started writing on infinite empty scrolls over and over again, becoming a little bit more consistent over the time. I started also to think about possible positions of my finger on the keyboard in order to reduce the time consumption. And slowly, very slowly, I became better. After around 30 minutes of writing and writing, I started with more attempts. The next step was to gain a good enough muscle memory of the correct timing in which I was almost guaranteed to not miss the input on the debug spots and the crates. Only in that way I could have lost less time. Also, I may have accidentally missed some of the runs in which I found empty scrolls because I forgot to put the caps lock and I lost around 2 seconds because of it, so I gave up and yeah. Never forget to turn the caps lock on when you try this run. But no worries, I was sick, so I had plenty of time to use. Eventually, I also started to implement another idea in order to gain better performance in preparation for the perfect run. After looting all the crates, I would always open the menu and rapidly go to the book section, regardless of if I found an empty scroll or not, just to keep my mind focused on what to do and to not panic. And also, since this speedrun in particular doesn't really have sound cues, I was also able to keep a calm music in the background to reduce the stress, but not to distract me, absolutely. And I kept going, over and over and over again. By this point, this was the best result I was able to get. That was not a bad attempt, but it's around 1 second longer than the world record because I kept panicking and opening that stupid menu like an idiot. After another good 2 hours of attempts, I made the last change of my runs. The page down key, which in case you don't know is the one that allows you to scroll the text so fast, is by default on the letter W. W is very far away from the other letters I'm using, so I moved it to the Shift command, so I have even better control on my movement. At this point, I reached a level of focus in which I wasn't able to hear anything, despite having literally music in my ears. And eventually, I achieved this. we were able to do it. I was almost crying during this attempt, because as you noticed, I accidentally opened the menu, but we did it regardless! We are the world record holders for ending E any percent! I submitted this run today, even though technically I achieved this a week ago, but I never published it because I didn't want eHookne to take back the world record before I published the video. But anyways, so yeah, this was my experience with speedrunning for the first time. It was a pretty funny experience, to be honest. The most interesting part was actually assemble my own speedrun by training myself in the different parts of it. Also, imagine, if a 24-second speedrun is so stressful, I can't imagine what would happen if I tried to speedrun some longer categories like, I don't know, Ragnarvalder S ending. No guys, don't think about it. I will not speedrun Ragnarvalder S ending, no. Or maybe, but you know, there is one thing that scares me a lot. Remember how we always pick Darcy because she can start with a quill? Technically, there is a possibility to get from 2 crates, a quill and an empty scroll. The chance to get those 2 specific items in the same run is incredibly low. To give you an example, in total I made around 8 hours of total attempts, and not a single time I was able to see simultaneously a quill and an empty scroll. But if a single person in the world starts with dash and gets a quill and an empty scroll, and is able to type fast enough, they may set up an unbreakable record. But anyways, I hope you liked this adventure with me. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments if you guys ever tried to speedrun, or if I should speedrun, Ragnarvalder S ending, or just something else. But anyways, from today, that's it. I was Frapollo94, and I will see you next time.